With Criven's help, my beau, my name is Emma and I'm here reporting for Film Club at the Edinburgh Castle, where I'm about to go to a press conference for the new Pixar and Disney animation film Brave. I'm going to be meeting some of the voices in the film, including Head's voice, Kelly MacDonald, and possibly Kevin McKidd. I'm also going to be meeting some of the creative team as well, such as Mark Andrews, the director, and Tia Cratter, the animator.
In accordance with our laws, the firstborn of each of the great leaders must prove their worth. Merida, stop! A lady enjoys elegant pursuits.
I present my only son. He took out a whole armada single-handedly. He was... With one arm, he was steering the ship.
I want my freedom. But are you willing to pay the price your freedom will cost?
Careful what you wish for, my mother would say.
What's the worst that could happen? Yeah! No more fighting! Show a little decorum! Feast your eyes!
If you had the chance to change your fate, would you?
I was lucky enough to see a press screening of the new movie Brave. The film is about a Scottish princess, Princess Merida, who has been betrothed to one of 3 princes who are competing in a tournament for her hand in marriage. However, Merida has some objections to this marriage and goes on a journey to change her fate. Little does she know that this is not the only thing that will be changing. The movie was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the animation, the hilarity of it all, and it had me rolling off my seat with laughter. The animation was superb. That you could see every blade of grass and every strand of hair on each character, and it felt as though you could put your hand right through the screen and touch the scenery. That brings all of the Highlands beauty to the screen in all of its glory. Film Clubbers, I know you will enjoy this film. It's action-packed and has just the right touch of sorcery, magic and mystery to keep you entertained and on the edge of your seat right until the very end.
The ancients spoke of it. It is the heart of this fierce land. It is carried in the wind. Born of our legends. And when we are put to the test, it is the one thing we must always be.
I'm just about to head into the Balmoral Hotel for the press conference Brave. Come on, follow me in. This is where the press conference is. I'm finally here.
Please join me in welcoming, first of all, the Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Pictures and Pixar. Great director in his own right, but functioning here as executive producer of Brave. Please welcome John Lasseter. Producer with Pixar and producer on Brave, please welcome Catherine Serafian. The director of the film, please welcome Mark Andrews. One of the many animators who made this film look as exquisite as it does, please welcome the shading art director, Tia Cratter. And our actors, please welcome, first of all, in the role of Merida, Kelly MacDonald. And playing Lord MacGuffin, please welcome Kevin McKidd. Right, I'm going to start with a couple of questions and then we'll go to you guys. John, could you start us off by letting us know what marked Brave out for you as a project that was worthy of Pixar, and what attracted you about making a film set in Scotland?
First, I've always loved Scotland. I traveled, as one of those American students in the summertime that you probably all get tired of around Europe. In the summer of 1979, I had just graduated from CalArts, and I toured all around Europe and found my way up to Scotland, and I spent about 2 weeks traveling up here and absolutely fell in love with Scotland. And it was the beauty, the traditions, the customs, but also the people. I found the people here just so warm, wonderful, funny, and they've always kind of was, just lived in my heart. I mean, I just knew that this place is one of my favorite places on earth. And so 7 years ago, when this idea was first pitched, I was very excited about this because, number one, it's very different than anything Pixar had done. And that's what we always strive to do at Pixar, is to do things that are really different. Number two, the kind of seems like the rest of Hollywood animation studios had turned their back on ever doing sincere fairy tales again. And to me, I never understood that because I loved them, and I knew the audience still loved them. And so I thought, well, great, if they're not going to do it, this is perfect. This idea, if it's Pixar will do its first fairy tale, but we'll do it Pixar style. And so I think it's those two things, and also the character of Merida would be the first Pixar female main character, which was very important for me to find the right story to do that one, because it's something we really wanted to do. So it's kind of those three things were really kind of at the core of it. And I knew that this movie would stretch the studio technically, artistically, and story-wise in areas that we had never been in. So that was very exciting for me.
I'd like to talk to Catherine and to Tia about we know that Pixar engages in these very long processes of research, very intense research, and that certainly shows up on the screen. Can you talk a bit about the process of preparing the film and also the engagement with the landscape that the animators got into?
Yeah, sure. We started this journey, right here in Edinburgh about 6 years ago on a research trip, because it's research at Pixar. Start by really the truest sense of where you want to begin the story, which is touching the rocks and the heather and the lichen and breathing the air and seeing the weather changes. So we started really there and got lots and lots of video footage and drawings and sketches and photographs and took those back to Emeryville, California, where we work, and shared them with our technical artists who are amazing and talented and so brilliant. And we offered up this huge challenge, and John has always said that art challenges technology, and it's never truer than here on Brave. We had a real challenge to serve up. But then also, technology inspires art, and there was a wonderful back and forth collaboration with our technical teams as we developed the technology for the hair on our wonderful characters, including Merida, and the cloth, the garments, the Scottish forests, and the vegetation. And Tia and her team were really hands-on in developing that texture and the cloth, and working with our animation and technical scientists to realize the vision.
I just might add that the thing that we were inspired by, especially in the locations of Scotland, is the beautiful chaos that exists. Nothing is perfect. It's always this grand mix of beautiful vegetation. And so the computer doesn't love chaos, but we sure do. And even in Merida's hair, you see that. And it really became a thing that we grew attached to and loved as we were making the film.
Okay, I'd like to talk to Mark about something that John's touched on, which is the establishment of this first Pixar female protagonist. That's quite a responsibility to create such an iconic character. How did you go about that?
Well, I think at Pixar, all of Pixar's movies have a very dynamic protagonist in them. And, you start out with a toy first, and then we have a bug, and then, we've had an old man and a Boy Scout and a fish and some superheroes and stuff. So that this one is a female is fantastic, but I think more importantly for the story, for all audiences to get on board with this character, she had to be this dynamic, powerful force of nature that we can get behind and care for. And that was the most important part in creating this character.
Mm-hmm. And to the actors, Kelly and Kevin, I suspect that you might have had to guide the production team slightly on aspects of Scottishness and on certain elements of language. How much of yourselves and how much of your own backgrounds did you bring into the making of this film?
Well, for me, I was the description of Merida there is so far removed from me that if it was a live action, I think I wouldn't have fit in the casting room. So it was a real challenge. The teenage aspect of it wasn't a challenge, which is I'm very ashamed of. That came really quickly back again after 17 years, and it was a real learning curve for me because I've never worked like this before, and the way I normally work is I normally underplay everything, and that's just, you can't get away with that on an animation, so everything had to be amped up, and luckily I was most often in a room with Mark Andrews, which really helped that.
And Kevin, you were underplaying here, being quite delicate now.
I thought I was being very subtle. No, I mean, it was great fun to play these characters, and I rarely get asked to be Scottish anymore. You know, I'm usually doing American accents, cod American accents. So it was lovely, and you know, to work with Pixar, you know, I got asked to play young MacGuffin, and then Lord MacGuffin came later. I think that's how it happened. But young MacGuffin was to have this very thick, incomprehensible Scottish accent. And what I loved about kind of collaborating was, instead of it just being a generalised, you know, thick Scottish accent that you couldn't understand, Catherine and everyone was so interested in my local dialect from my area of Scotland, you know, and so I got to bring that to the party, and I feel very proud of that, you know, that Pixar are willing, because there's such a creative, collaborative team that, you know, you can throw ideas in and people run with them, and they did, and it's I think it's testament to the kind of the quality of the work, you know, that it's very specific work as opposed to generalized, you know, and that's not always the case in movies. So, and it was a lot of fun to kind of to get to speak in my crazy local dialect, you know.
And Kelly, you know, when you were one of the things that we were really interested in is for you to put your own, you know, suggest your own slang and ad-lib stuff, and you did that quite a bit.
Yeah, that was fun, because, you know, I think you all did an amazing job writing a Scottish script in San Francisco, but there were certain things that didn't, you know, just didn't ring true, and I knew that truth was really important, and so we felt really comfortable sort of saying that's not really a Scottish word, there's other words that we could substitute, and yeah.
It was very funny because we had at one point we started getting notes from different, you know, people around Disney and stuff. I was saying, we don't understand, you know, with these words, you know, we probably should make it so, change that out so it's words that everybody can understand. And we were like, yeah, no, we love that because we don't understand, but we know they're honest and they're true. And part of it for me was I wanted the families and all the people going to see the movie in Scotland to look up and go, wow, they captured Scotland. And that was really, really important. And I think to have these great actors to help us with that. And we really did tap into their, you know, being raised in Scotland and just to bring as much of true Scotland to the film.
Okay, I'm going to take my first question from a young journalist who's here from Film Club, which is the educational charity that puts film clubs in the UK's schools. Go ahead, Emma.
I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm Scottish myself, and I really enjoyed it from a Scottish point of view. How important do you think it is to show off Scotland in film, and what aspects of the film would other children from perhaps other countries enjoy about the film?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. Thanks. I'll start
Okay.
Mark. When we create a movie that has a setting, and it could be anywhere, it is really important for us to make it authentic. Because even if you're not from Scotland, everyone around the world watching this film, there will be an authenticity that you can sense of it, whether or not you know that these words are true Scottish slang or not, or the look, you know, or the lighting within the scene really has that look of Scotland. But you'll feel it. I believe that you always feel it. It's the same authenticity that we have in Cars about Route 66 or the racing in cars. The same authenticity of in Nemo, of the look of being underwater, you know, where it's not realistic, but it really is believable. And I think that's what's so important. And secondary, I just hope that people get inspired to come visit Scotland from seeing this film too, because we love this country so much.
Yeah, there's a great, as a storyteller, we want to transport an audience somewhere, give them this experience of being someplace. And the backdrop of Scotland, to me, is very personal, and you know, I'm in love with it. And to show off that character, I think any kid, no matter where you are going to see this kind of magical place that the story is set in. And then if you're Scottish, you're going to see Scotland a way you've never really seen it before, you know, characterized in this, you know, uniquely authentic type of way.
Well, I really enjoyed that. I had so much fun. It was really interesting. I hope you enjoyed it too.